Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another amazing episode of Fix Your Belief Systems, where we talk about four major and one overwhelming umbrella of a category. So we've got relationships, career, health, money, and then faith or beliefs. I am joined today by an amazing individual. We met at a conference earlier this year, and I'm going to give you a quick introduction because you know how it is. We try to provide the best quality of interviews so we can make sure you guys have all the information at your fingertips to improve your life in all those areas. January Donovan is the founder of the Wholeness School and the Wholeness Coaching School. She is a #1 best-selling author, entrepreneur, and mother of 8 children. That's right. That's what I said, 8. She has over 20 years of experience training women, which is crazy because she looks like she's about 20 years old, to design a life of wholeness. She built a multi-million-dollar company that reaches 40 countries globally, earning her the title of Forbes Magazine's top coaching school. January believes that success cannot be void of fulfillment because our hearts are made of it. What a great quote. Thank you, January, for joining me. I really appreciate you. So excited to have you on, and looking forward to having a great conversation about all of those pillars. So having a little audio.
Thank you. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me. It is a privilege to be here. I love a deep, meaningful conversation. So thank you, Doc.
So one of my favorite questions that I love to ask anyone is, what is success to you?
Success to me is fulfillment and fulfilling, I believe, who you were created to be. I think success as we've defined it in our culture or just a society or just a belief is about achievement. It's about having and not being. But I think having without being is void of meaning. So to me, it's really about fulfilling your call, but also being fulfilled in every part of your life. And what I mean by that is that you're looking at all the different arenas, who you are, your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual health, your friendship, your home life, your intimacy, your wealth, your family. I think it needs to be integrated in order to actually be fulfilling. And that to me is what success is.
That is the best definition. This is why I was so excited to talk to you, because that's what we talk about. Is so many people I work with individually have one pillar of life, maybe money, or they have a business and success with the business, but they spend all their time there and they have no relationships and they have no faith in anything outside of themselves, and they're just kind of bankrupt in other areas and they're not fulfilled. So tell me a little bit about, your journey to feeling that fulfillment, because I love your energy, your calmness, you're so content at the moment. And that's what I love about you so much.
Thank you. I really appreciate you saying that. I think that my journey was that I was that woman who I think I was a good girl, but I didn't know, I was never taught to discover my value. I was never taught how to find the right quality friends. I was never taught how to find the right person for you. And I suffered for it. I was anxious. I was depressed about a lot of things in life. And honestly, I was ungrateful about the life that I had, but it was because nobody showed me how. So I spent most of, I would say, kind of my high school years pondering sort of this emptiness. And I think there was a level of depth inside of me because I grew up in the Philippines my first 11 years. And, my first, awareness was living in the slums. There was a lot of nothing. And so it makes you really ponder the meaning of life. And I came to the United States and there was just materialism. And to me, there was an emptiness that was growing. I had, these things that I never had in the Philippines, but there was sort of a loneliness. But the problem is I had no language for it. And which is part of the big problem. I believe that at least for women, they have no language for the ache in their heart. And so that all changed when I met a mentor in college named Elena, my first month in college. And she was a mentor to all those women I met who are just like everyone else. And my first meeting with her, she said, January, what kind of woman do you want to be? And I just remember laughing, Doctor. I was like, oh, I didn't know you have a choice, Elena. And so she said, let's design you. And I met with her for 3.5 years, almost every single month. I had homework that I had to hand in to her. My first homework was to get rid of comparison and competition with women, get up at 4 a.m, and then make my bed before I actually brushed my teeth and went to the bathroom. That was my first homework, and it changed my life. That training changed the quality of the life that I lived. And it was something that I realized most women are robbed of the training that they need to actually live a meaningful life. It's not that they don't want it. They've never been shown how to. So that would, to me, I was hungry. Elena would say, January, what kind of, I said, I wanted to be simple. I wanted to be, confident in the kitchen. I wanted to have conversation skills. She would give me homework. I would have to get back. And it wasn't homework until I wrote it out. So every time I met with her, I handed in my homework. And that, I think, became the foundation of the school for women, the women's school, because I realized, A, I wasn't alone in my suffering. And number two, women are suffering because they have no access to training. Athletes, like you as a doctor, you would never, treat a patient without years of training. It's not education. You actually have practical training, right? You need to have rotation or, in order to actually go to medical school. And I thought, well, women are undertrained. That's the problem. To me, it was as simple as that. And so I started training women, which really gave birth to my passion. Is this, I was the untrained woman who somebody showed how, and I am greatly rewarded for it, So I spent my, the next 10 years designing every part of my life, beginning with my mental health, emotional health, physical, spiritual, my friendship, raising the standard. I spent so many years trying to figure out what kind of a man do I want and what kind of woman do I need to become to achieve that kind of man that I want? What's my home life? What does it mean to be a woman of order? What does it mean to have conversation skills? I mean, I felt like it crucified me, but that became the foundation in my life right now as a mom of 8. People are like, it's chaotic. I'm like, no, it's peaceful.
It is. And I love your energy, that calm confidence, where so many people, especially in today's society, are out there on social media and they're screaming things and they're forcing stuff. And there's something to be said about that contentment and fulfillment and just that knowingness of, I'm where I need to be. And it may not be perfect, but it is getting me somewhere that is better than I used to be. A friend of mine, Tim Story, he says that all the time. He goes, I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be.
Oh, that's a really great way to look at it.
Feel free to use it. Feel free to use it.
Yeah.
But, in this materialistic society, we strive and we get the next thing and we think that's going to be fulfilling, and it's really not. Fulfilling starts within here. So I don't think just women need to hear this. I think men need to hear it too.
Yes,
I really do, even though you do relate to women, obviously, and you've built this great life and great career. And, but what are some things that you teach women that the guys on here need to pay attention as well? Because it's going to be very similar. But what are some things that you can teach as far as people developing their own self-fulfillment and self-respect, especially high schoolers, self-respect?
It's just, to me, that's why I think there's a school for it. There needs to be a school for it. We can't assume we know it. So we actually have this, I teach in frameworks. Our school, I teach in formulas. And so we have this model called D5. And the number one kind of journey is that we need to know our desires. You can't be fulfilled outside of the desires of your heart. You need to know what you want in every part of your life. But not all desires are good. I want ice cream and rice every day, but it's not obviously my highest good. So our desires need to be matured. So we need to know our desire. We need to have a dream. And we need to identify what a dream is. Most people don't know, actually have never been taught how to dream or what a dream is. A dream is not a goal. In the women's school, a dream is a vision of something you've never achieved before that scares you and excites you at the same time. A woman without a vision perishes. We need a vision. So we need to have a dream. Number 3, we need to design every part of our life. We need to take responsibility and accountability and say, this is the kind of friendship I want. This is the kind of friendship I don't want in this season of my life, right? Because my friendship was different when I had young children, older children, when I was, single. But it can't live a life of default and expect to have a fulfilling friendship. It's the same thing for your relationship, with your family. You have a beautiful relationship with your wife. It has to be designed. Your home life needs to be designed, your wealth, your health. So number 3 is design, and number 4 is discipline. To me, that is the cornerstone of what it means to be a woman. A beautiful life is actually a woman hard at work on her interior discipline. There's no way around it. Success, every successful person has had to live a life of discipline in some degree. But to actually achieve a fulfilling life, talk about the discipline that's necessary. And nobody talks about it. We're afraid of that word. And to me, it's where freedom lies. And number 5 is detachment. We cannot control the external. We can only control the interior world. So those are 5 things that I train women and men. Actually, we have also a man's school. Those are the 5 pillars we call the D5. And we need to say, wait. How can I actually learn to mature my desires of my heart, discover the dream of the season, design every part of my life to see with eyes of wholeness? It's not just parts of our life. You can't just design your marriage and not design your mental health or physical health, right? Your friendship, and then your discipline. What does it mean to grow your skill set? And then how do you stay detached so that you're constantly living in a state of peace and freedom and you're not attached to the things of this world when things don't go your way? That's the dream.
That is so beautiful. That is awesome. And the word, you're right, discipline. So many people take that as a negative thing, as a disciplinary action, but disciplined people are the ones that have the most confidence. Like Ed Milet says, the person with the most confidence is the person who's kept the agreements they've made with themselves or the promises they made with themselves. So how can someone create a promise for themselves, either in any of the pillars, health, relationships, career, business, finances, faith, belief, any of those things? How can they create the vision, but then have the discipline to become that person where it's automatic?
Yes. And that's where I think skills come in, Doc. So what we do in the school is that we take all these disciplines and bring it down to skill set, because most people have never been trained in how to say no, right? Because it's good to say, oh, discipline, it's a massive umbrella, but how do you say no to other people? How do you say no to yourself? How do you manage your thought? How do you manage your emotion? I mean, it's just assume women are emotional. Well, is it that they are emotional, or is it that they don't know how to manage their thought? Which is why they don't know how to manage their emotion, then impacts their children, impacts their marriage, and then their home life is chaotic. I mean, the ripple impact of an undisciplined life is really grand. And it's costing us, and we know it now. We see it with data, with depression and anxiety. But to me, it's skill building. I think a woman needs to have access with skills, and I think skills need to be mastered. I always think of, the Karate Kid, right? You master the art. Like, if boundaries look different for me as a single woman to a mom of young children to now building a business while 8 children, the mastery of boundaries is not one and done. It is evolving. So we teach hundreds of skills in our school, because you can't just have no boundaries and not know how to make a decision, know how to pivot, know how to manage your mind. They're all integrated. And that, I think, is part of the problem, is that the discipline system that we have is not integrated. So we don't have the capacity to see with eyes of wholeness. And for those of you that are listening that are men and women of faith, the scripture, it says, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. And perfect actually comes from the root word telesio, which is to be whole. And to be whole means that we are looking at every part of our life. Because if we're not looking at our marriage, it's only a matter of time that our children are going to be a hot mess, or that we're mentally stressed, or that we can't actually have the financial means that we want to take care of our family. We have to constantly see with eyes of wholeness. And that in itself is a skill and a discipline. But women get that and men get it. You can't unsee it.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I mean, it is. And what's interesting is I talk a lot about these type of things when we talk about meditation, or another word for that is prayer. But really, I used to think that's kind of hokey. You meditate, you sit in your Indian style and you hum and you have your hands. But the purpose of the meditation is to know thyself. It's to figure out you, so that inner voice of what you actually want. it's getting out of the noise. It's so noisy. It's noisy. It's just constant go, go, go. And if you can get out of that noise and actually look internally for just a little bit each day, you can shut that stuff down. So do you participate or do any meditation type stuff?
Yeah.
What do you recommend for your students in the school?
Well, the first thing that I teach prior to meditation is actually a routine, because that's where the roadblock is, right? You don't know actually how to build a routine. On a personal level, my mentor taught, trained me to get up at 4 a.m. I, as a mom of 8, continue to make my morning a rhythm of life so I can have enter prayer and study, because I think they're important in meditation in that morning. So that is what I teach now. That requires boundaries. So, to be able to do that, you do need to say no to yourself. So yes, absolutely. A rhythm of life that promotes I would say the silence, to learn to know thyself, because you see it everywhere. Love yourself, right? Don't you see that everywhere? Love yourself. And I always say, how do you love something you don't know?
Yeah.
You can't. So for you to tell a woman, love yourself, for you to just love yourself, and they have no knowledge because they have no silence to actually identify who they are, you're just throwing them to this false narrative that's making them even more frustrated, because you're telling them to love themselves without the ability to know how to do it. So yes, like to me, the meditation, the quiet is a prerequisite to fulfillment. You can't achieve it otherwise. There's no way around it. There's no way around it.
There's really not. You cannot become fulfilled and content with so much confusion going on. That's the opposite of contentment and fulfillment. Confusion is a distraction. It's, I'm going to dive into these things. I'm going to jump on the social media, or I'm going to buy some things or do retail therapy, which drive you in the wrong direction, which is why, there's just a lot of mistakes made by doing that, because really you make decisions based on the emotions that you have, and the emotions come from your thoughts. And I teach that the thoughts come from your beliefs and the experiences you've had in your past. And so if you want the life that you can envision, then you have to step back and, like you said, get your routine and become the person that does the actions that can have that life. I love what you said too about speaking with college students or students in general, because I do the same thing when I ask them about who's their dream mate, who do you want to spend the rest of your life with, and they write it all out, and I ask them, who do you have to become to be attractive to that person? And it's the same thing, yeah. And that's what I love. The more people I talk with, especially, I really just interview high level people that are just really have put in the effort and put in the work. And when I interview, there's the same principles keep rising to the surface. And I hope people that listen to this thing get the repetition of those principles. Because you got to find somebody that you can follow that has already been there, already done it, figured that out, and can give you the steps in order to compress the time. That's what you're looking for. So tell me a little bit of something about, the school that you have, and you said there's a website to go to, and just go ahead and let me know about that. So everyone needs to go to that website. Everyone needs to log in and see what January is all about, so she can help you really design the life that you want to design as well.
So we founded the Women's School because there's no school on how to be a woman. So to me, if there is a part of your life that you feel is unfulfilled, then it's your responsibility to actually redesign it. We can't be a victim to the narrative. Secondly, I think more than ever in history, we need a school for women in a world where being a woman is no longer free. I could never have imagined, Doc, a year and a half ago, that we needed to define what it means to be a woman. Not attack other people and other sexualities, but rather honor the dignity of what it means to be a woman for generations to come. We are responsible to defending ourselves so that we do not become erased and irrelevant for our children and the future generations. So to me, it's not just learning how to be a woman, but it's also defending the value of being a woman. So our school is really I would say twofold. It's number one is that you train both your mindset and your skill set so you can design a life and achieve your unique and irreplaceable purpose. And the only way you do that is for training, and that's what you do. But secondly, you have to also fulfill your purpose by defending what it means to be a woman outside of your, I would say, your home, outside of your call to whatever profession you're. We need to stay united to not just defend ourselves and our generation, but really what it means to be one. And so that's what, to me, the school is. It's a training school. I call it a formation school. You form yourself to a life of discipline.
That's
And
awesome.
come to the, if you go to the New Woman Masterclass, that is our foundational training that trains women to design every part of their life. And if you go to that newwomanmasterclass.com, you'll learn everything that you need to know and take the quiz on where you are on the journey to a life of wholeness, and book a call with us if you'd like to just have a strategy call and see what part of your life needs to be designed and redesigned.
January, that is so awesome. I mean, just amazing. And the link will be right below. I mean, you can come here and click the link. If it's on YouTube, it'll be in the comments. If this is on Spotify, the link will be right there. Wherever you're watching this, if it's on Instagram or Facebook or some sort of social media site, if there's a little clip, we'll have the link in there. So we're gonna be able to give you good access to that. I'm going to ask you a question. It's probably a little controversial, but it's something that obviously has come up in the last year and a half. But what do you think or do you believe there is an attack on what is a man, what is a woman, being a man, being a woman, being a wife, being a husband, those type of things? And I guess you can answer that, and I'll ask a follow-up question depending on how you answer.
I think we're under attack. I do. I think that I'm no longer free to be a woman. And when I say that, the freedom to actually speak up as a woman without the fear of being canceled. I think the freedom to be able to play sports with my children. When a woman is under attack, a man is under attack. It's not one or the other. We need each other. And to me, this is the most beautiful time to be a woman. Because now we can put our own interior battles and unite on a common battle that's saying, wait. The attack was personal, but now it's actually generational. Now we are being erased as a woman. So to me, we have to live being a woman so profoundly, so intentionally, so fiercely, with every fiber of being, and there's no more time to be lax about our discipline. We need women to rise up, discipline, and design a life that makes people say, I want to be that woman.
Wow. Great answer. I really appreciate that for sure. Is there anything else that you, a common thing or a common theme that you see come up on a regular basis with people that come through your school or people that you coach individually? Anything that rises to the surface that you're like, I see this repetitively all the time. Anything like that you've been dealing with?
Yeah, I think the beliefs, and which is really what you teach, it's the beliefs in every part of the life, the beliefs about wealth, the belief about marriage, the belief about friendship, the belief about mental, emotional, all the beliefs that they have inherited, right, from their family of origin, or maybe accumulated based on wounds have never been healed, becomes really the foundation in how they live their life as a woman, for the good or the bad. So that has been a common theme in our school, is literally neurologically rewiring those beliefs in order to even begin to design the life that you want. So I would say the belief that that you're passionate about and rewiring those beliefs is a really common theme. It's work that's necessary and needed. And I would say number two is that women don't know their worth. Their value is based on conditions. We call it the poisonous P. What women, what we in the world consider valuable is possession, perfection, right? Or what they can produce, popularity, and their positions of power. That that has become, and so when women realize that, wait a minute, that's not what makes me valuable, it empowers them, true empowerment, and say that I am not determined by what I can produce or how many friends I have or how much money. My worth is unconditional simply because I am. That gives women so much freedom, because prior to that, they make decisions based on what the world thinks makes them valuable. That's a common theme. And I would...
That is...
Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah, go ahead.
No, the third one is a life of overwhelm. And to me, that's a direct, I would say, byproduct of being underskilled. How do you supposed to manage your home if you've never been trained how? How do you supposed to have a good conversation with your spouse when you don't even know how to actually ask questions? You know, conversation skills, I mean, some of the most basic things to me is actually what's the crisis. And you notice this when I have teenagers, and I mean, I am on them. Like, you smile, you greet people, doors open when you're likable and you're pleasant. You don't do it to be likable, but you do it as an art and contribution. I mean, it's like, you know, a war, and I am on it. Like, I am training my children, but it is a battle, because you've got a world that doesn't honor some of the most basic foundations of what it means to be human. To me, the foundation is being attacked.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. My wife always has this comment that I love. It says, it's only common sense if it's been taught to you. And so if we lose a little of the foundation, I know, right? I love it. She comes up with so many great one-liners. But if you lose a little bit of the foundational stuff every year or generation after generation for 3 or 4 generations, all of a sudden you end up with people that don't know what they're doing. And like you just said, they have to be trained. One of the things that I love to do, and I would really recommend everybody on this podcast listening to do, you'll see an immediate impact, is I call it the smile test. And all it is you're going to walk down the street, any street, doesn't matter if there's other people there. You walk down the street and you make eye contact and you smile. 2 things are going to happen. You are going to feel uncomfortable in the beginning if you're not used to doing that, but you're going to start developing a habit within you to start smiling at other people and making eye contact, which are 2 basic things that you can learn to do. And number 2, the second thing that's going to happen is the other person is going to be positively affected more than you know. You have no idea how much a smile can affect someone. Now, when you do this, you're walking down the street, somebody's walking, they look grumpy, and you do the smile test, and they look at you, and they may even not even smile in the moment, but if you turn back around and look, they're probably going to look at you and smile, most likely. So it's a smile test. It's fun. You play with it a little bit, but it makes you more confident in the fact that you're eye contact with people and you're smiling, and it just brightens other people's day up. And they always say, what you give is what you get. So if you want to smile, give a smile.
It's so simple, but it's so profound. I mean, it really is. I love that they call it the smile test, because gosh, can you imagine if you said that to a whole middle school? I mean, just that one thing. Don't even, just that one thing, a smile test for a whole entire middle school. We could probably eradicate half of the medication. No, I say that, I really deeply believe it. You know, like you said, maybe somebody needed that, and that's a form of contribution, and we just don't know it.
On one of Tony Robbins' talks I listened to a long time ago, he said that, I believe it was Harvard, but a medical school did a test where they took people that were clinically depressed. I think there was 15 of them. Clinically depressed means they've been diagnosed with depression. They're on meds. They're, the most depressed. And what they did was they wanted to see how they would do with trying to get off the medication over a period of time. I believe it was 60 days, and I'm kind of paraphrasing, so don't quote me on this. I don't need any hate emails or hate, comments saying, well, it was incorrect. Okay, we'll look up the study. But the premise of the study is they took these people that were clinically depressed, and then all they did was they had them 3 times a day. I think it was 10 minutes, but they smiled in the mirror at themselves with, the crow's feet where you're smiling so big. And I believe it was after 60 or 90 days, something along those lines. But after that time, none of them were clinically depressed anymore.
Wow.
They got rid of all their meds. Now, and that's crazy. But it's so simple.
That is, I've never heard of Tony Robbins and that study. You never heard him speak about that. That is really crazy. I'm going to look that up.
Please. Yeah, I need to look it up to get the facts right so people don't,
I
ask
believe
me,
it
which
though.
they're going to now, I guarantee it. But look, Tony Robbins is the one that told the story, okay?
You can check on him.
Check on Tony.
Check him.
Check Tony. But the fact is that I teach this all the time. Most of the problems that we have can be solved by simple solutions. They're repetitive, but they're simple. If you repeat discipline actions that are disciplined repetitively over time, it becomes who you are. My buddy, Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about that all the time. Like, oh yeah, Dr. Joe's awesome. But it's not as complicated as we make it. In the 5 pillars that I talk about, which your pillars are the same, it's the same things in life, but in any area of your life, if you want a solution, it's really more simple than you think. The only reason you think it's more complicated is because you don't know how to do it, which is why you got to go to things that teach you, like January school. Because if you can learn the skill, then it becomes who you are. And once you learn it, you can never get rid of it.
Yeah, that's what, to me, it's a basic how-to. We have a how-to problem. That's, to me, I'm like, gosh, if we could solve a lot of the crises, if we just gave them how. And you know what the thing too I see is that women are in deep shame because their life is in shambles. And I tell women all the time, it's not your fault if you've never been shown how. Kind of like what your wife said. It's not common sense. It's brilliant. Unless you've been taught it was common sense. But it's the same thing, like we are so ashamed that we have these broken marriages or kids that are a mess or our bodies. But I would say, but who showed you how? Who showed you?
Robert Kiyosaki says people that are looking good but going nowhere. I remember one time my parents are probably going to, if they ever hear this, they're probably going to be like, really? But I remember one time we were going to church and there was this, it was chaotic. There was an argument. People were running late. We got in the car. We're driving. Everybody's all, and we pull up to the church and my dad's like, okay, look like we're happy. We're going to church. I think that's something along those lines. But that is the true statement of what you're talking about. We live in this Instagram, you put on a front that isn't real and you want to look like you're not dealing with anything, but in reality, you're dealing with a ton of stuff like everyone's dealing with. You're dealing with relationship, you're dealing with money, you're dealing with your career or business and your happiness and your self-worth and contentment and fulfillment. And you're trying to figure all this stuff out on your own. You don't have to.
Yeah, you can't even if you tried to.
Well, you'll spend your whole life and you'll end up somewhere, but go to January school, man. She's figured it out. I mean, she's at least got a lot of tools that are available in order to help you figure it out a lot quicker, because you only live one life. The only time you have is now. So don't do it a year from now. Don't do it 10 years from now. You have to take action now in order to make changes and become the person. So not saying January is perfect, but January has...
Definitely not.
Right. But she has put some things together that will really help compress time. And instead of being the person you want to become 10 years from now, maybe you can do it in 1 or 2 or 3. It is a continuous pursuit, but it's a lot. If you pursue the best version of yourself every day, a little bit every day, and you develop that as a habit, the person you become is so much more valuable to others and to yourself.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. I think life without the foundational skill is complicated. That's why life is complicated, because we don't actually have the basic foundation of maybe, how to say no or how to have a conversation. It's so much more complex to try to build a house without the foundation. I mean, think about it, any physical infrastructure. But I think that's what's happening. And it's happening in our culture. We've got people in business, people in politics, people in Hollywood who might have been robbed of the foundation they need to actually build a life of meaning, and they're compensating. And we're seeing it all over the place. And the compensation is also this collateral damage, because their unfulfilling life, they're spreading it all over the place. I can talk a little bit more about this, but we're here. And I think that's why time is now, like you said, and To me, it's the best time to take responsibility for who we ought to become in a world that's trying to actually dehumanize us. It's also the most exciting time because, especially with AI coming, our foundational ability to connect with people is going to be so much more, I would say, in demand. Human connection, I would say depth. I mean, think about it, Doc. People don't know how to be silent. Like I train thousands, hundreds of thousands of women. They're afraid of the silence because they don't know what to do. But they're void of depth and meaning. To me, we live in such a shallow world that there's no depth of conversation. Like, you and I haven't spoken, I don't know, 7 months, right? But we're having these deep, meaningful conversation. It's a skill in itself.
Mm. I think a lot of people are afraid to offend. That's a major word now, is I'm afraid to offend someone. I'm afraid to say something that's offensive. And if you don't know who you are, you will speak very shallow, meaning you won't get into the depth conversations because you can't really back up your viewpoint. You might have heard it on, a Facebook post or something. You really don't know the ins and outs of it, and you're scared, really, to tell your viewpoint because you don't know how to, or you can't really back it up with your information. You're not real, not content with yourself. You're not. No, there we go. Yeah, I lost the word. But yeah, that's what happens. And so then what happens is that people, I'm afraid to offend you. I'm afraid that if you do, I can't back it up. And so, you know what? How's the weather?
That's what it is. It's literally, we are having how's the weather conversations, and it's like we are wasting time in unfulfilling relationships, and we just need to teach men and women to actually, and Jordan Peterson says that, he goes, we have a courage crisis in humanity. And I'm like, he's speaking to me. He's speaking to me, because it requires so much mastery of self to have the courage to know that you have to speak up and you're going to be crucified for it. And yet you're going to speak up anyway. Because it kills you more not to. It kills you in a way where you're living a life of quiet desperation, like Thoreau said. But to speak up, both have consequence. One, you're dying. And one, you might be crucified, but you could feel the life from within. It's your choice.
That is an amazing ending to this episode. I'll tell you that right now. That was absolutely, I could literally sit and talk for hours with you and have the most in-depth conversations. Everyone needs to go newwomanmasterclass.com. There's the link. You can find it in wherever you're watching this. Share this out. More and more people need to hear this message. More and more people need confidence. They need self-worth. They need fulfillment. They need contentment. They need to learn how to be at peace. And people like January, myself, other people that I've met along the way, they can help you do that. You just got to find the person that aligns with you the most, that you can go through that journey. January's helped thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and you could be the next one that she could help. So January, it's been an absolute honor and blessing that you were on the show today. I really appreciate it. Everyone listening to this, please click her link. Even if you don't end up doing stuff into the future, at least you can find out, take action, step into the unknown and see if there's something there. And if there is, go further with her. So, like I said, this is Fix Your BS, where you talk about belief systems in relationships, business, or career, your finances or money, your health, or your belief or faith. And we really try to dive as deep as possible to give you actionable items to create the life you want on your terms. And that's what it's really all about. Take responsibility, create your life on your terms. I'm Dr. Greg Persley, also known as Dr. G. I created Fix Your BS for that reason. And until next time, go out there and start taking action, step into the unknown, and create your life under your terms.